Hi, I'm Sarung Tripathi, VP Field Engineering here at SingleStore, and I'm joined by Kannan from LiveRamp.
Hi, Sarung. Hi, I'm Kannan. I'm the Chief Architect of LiveRamp. I've been leading architecture leadership group at LiveRamp. Before that, I had my own startup in IoT, and I've been in the data industry for like almost 30 years now.
Awesome, cool. Well, tell us just a bit about what LiveRamp does to start.
So yeah, actually, LiveRamp is a data collaboration platform, actually, right? So we help our customers collaborate between each other, and we make their data basically collaboratable between their systems as well. Actually, so our primary thing is identity, and we provide primary key and foreign key for the customer touchpoint data.
Yeah, and just maybe you want to tell the audience a bit about how you leverage SingleStore in that.
So yeah, right now, LiveRamp is basically in an ecosystem with 60 petabytes of data, and we've been dealing with top Fortune 510, retailers and brands, and we take their data and help them onboard it on the different advertisement platforms like ad tech platforms, right? So we've been like in this business for 20 plus years, and we have been using Hadoop and file-based approach for years, and that's what the only way we could scale like 15 years back, right? So with the data being so structured, so we have a structured data in basically, right? So we are in joining tables, and joining data is our main business. So when I started working with the LiveRamp, I started seeing an opportunity to be done better with a database. So that's when we started exploring multiple databases, and we ended up with SingleStore, and now we are migrating some of our load from Hadoop Spark file-based approach to a database approach, because our data is structured and our primary use case is join tables.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been moving petabytes of data into SingleStore, and we're making some good progress there.
That's awesome. Well, you talk through joining across very large sets of data. Of course, scalability matters, and there's a ton of complexity to the types of queries that you're running, the types of operations that you're doing on the database. Just tell us a bit about perhaps the performance characteristics that are required within LiveRamp's business.
So yeah, I think LiveRamp in a high level, right? We are into 3 levels of collaboration, basically, right? So our primary business, we've been doing it for decades, is about enabling our customers to collaborate, right? So we take their raw data and how do we make it available for collaboration?
Yep.
That's a humongous set of data, and how do we make it available for them to run campaigns in Facebook or different destinations, right? So that is one. Second one is we assist them to collaborate. When the data is ready, how do we take it to the next level so that it can be facilitated in the marketplaces and different places so that they can collaborate? Now, with the recent acquisition of Habu, we are owning the whole narrative of collaboration.
Yeah.
Right? Saying, hey, you know what? We will facilitate the collaboration. We give you a interface where you can come in and you see the partners and you can collaborate with the data there, actually, right? So with these 3 different things, we have different approaches towards the data, right? So when you enable the data, we are dealing with a humongous set of data set and the batch processing, right? When you're enabling, where we'll be dealing with, again, humongous set of data from data marketplaces and stuff, but we have to be a little bit more faster than a batch process, have it available for when they buy a data from a third-party vendor. It should be available for them in a reasonable time frame,
right,
for them to do analytical load and collaborate.
Yep.
So our persona changed. The first one was a marketing persona or an ad persona where they can wait for days. The second one is hours.
Yeah.
Now when they collaborate, really, they want it closer to real time. Right? So there's 3 different personas, 3 different perspectives. So we have a full stack of performance requirements now.
Yeah.
So we're trying to match all those and architect for future such a way that when people are trying to collaborate for petabytes of data, we want it to closer to real time even for that.
And I think what I'm hearing is, especially as you adapt and the data state and the data landscape within LiveRamp grows, you have to prepare not just for scale, but also maintain that simplicity for the users to actually interact and do those complex joins across all of the data. Right?
Exactly, right? So we are dealing with CMOs and marketing teams and advertisement teams. So we have to keep it as simple as possible for our end users, right? So for our end users, it should be very simple, right? We have to keep it really simple, really easier to use in a way, right? The whole collaboration should look so simple. That's where our Hub acquisition makes it easier for us to give a simple interface, like a questionnaire interface, like a simple interface to do that collaboration, right? So when we have that kind of simpler UI, the back-end infrastructure should be as simple to solve it, right? That's not easy, right? Anybody can build a UI to make it simple, look simple, but to have the same simplicity in the data and data processing is not simple, because our customer data, which we are trying to collaborate, can exist in different part of the world, or different technology, or different data warehouses. We don't know, right? So how do we give a same kind of feel and same kind of experience for all the data?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think the simplicity of the collaboration interface is just the tip of the iceberg, pun intended. And there's so much beneath that. And I think that's a good transition into sort of what the other stuff I wanted to talk to you about today, which is there's a lot going on, in the data ecosystem right now. Specific to Iceberg, as you saw, Databricks acquired Tabular. Snowflake, in the recent conference announced the Polaris catalog. There's a lot of movement and very fast movement in this space right now. Talk to me a little bit about sort of as you look into your data landscape and the complexity of that, how technologies and open table formats like Iceberg enable sort of interoperability across all of your data.
Sure. Actually, I'll go with a little bit of history on with what we did in LiveRamp and how it relates to this also, right? And it made relate to a lot of your customers, a lot of the industry as well. So we were working on a data center until 2018-19, right? So we had a huge data center, and we moved all the data to the data center and process them and reflect on the data, right? And then send the data back to our customers wherever they were, right? Or for the destinations wherever they intended to move the data. And when we moved to the cloud, what we did, right, we couldn't have had an opportunity to re-architect or anything. We just did a lift and shift. We lift and shifted the whole thing into a cloud. And it's a Google cloud. We're going with Google, and we're in a GCP, in a region. We deployed everything as a lift and shift, and almost similar to what we had in data center. Right. So we move all the data here, and we process this data and send it out. Right. But when we talk about collaboration, when we talk about future of the collaboration, so even from the earlier stages of databases, right, there was never one database even within a company. Right. Even though you guys are SingleStore, but still I'm saying, right, there's no one database. There's now, with the ecosystem growing and the opportunity we have, for example, even in our ecosystems, we have around 200 Cloud SQL databases.
Wow.
200 plus Cloud SQL databases for different use cases, different teams. Same thing, if we look at any customer, any client for ours, also, there are they use different ecosystem, different data warehouses, and the data is different. So the need for augmenting that is becoming more and more and more and more important. So the whole industry is trying to solve it, right? How do we augment that, right? How do we bring it to a general format so that the other person can understand my data, right? So how do bigger data warehouses like BigQuery, Databricks, Snowflake, how do we talk to each other? How the data from one data warehouse can be joined with other one, right? So we have been working on solving this problem for a while as well, actually, right? Because for us, for collaboration, that becomes a bigger problem to solve, right? But we are not technology company. We, in the sense of, we don't want to develop software technology. We want to leverage software technology to solve problem for our customers.
Right.
So that is where we're working with partners like you guys to solve it for us. How do we solve it better? Right? So that is where the Iceberg comes into play. A table formats will come into play, where we export the data into a Parquet or similar file structures, and then have a table format on top of it and query against it, becoming more and more and more used or more and more thought through. So, but even other subject like Arrow format and different things are coming in more and more prominent. because of that, actually. So
Yeah.
that problem is more glaring now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I sort of see this in as a multi-layered cake. You have your data warehouses, of course, shared table format, say Iceberg, for example, there, but then also the unification of these in an operational data layer for those applications to maintain the simplicity of your user experience, as well as the growing scale up to, you said 60 petabytes of data for the user experience, all with the low latency queries, I think is super important.
So yeah, in this one, there's a 2 layers to it, actually, right? So sorry for geeking out here.
No, please do.
So, basically 2 layers to it, right? One is, basically bringing it into a common format so that it is easier for the developers and the designers to design things on top of it is one thing. Second thing is architecturally, if you look at it, right, in a little bit more deeper, if you want to join a 2 data, right, whether it's in a different data structure or different data warehouses or different files, if you want to join them in a really easier way or any way to join them, you have to bring it to memory space.
Yeah.
A common memory space, right? There is no workaround around it, actually. That is the physics. That's what thing is. You have to bring it to a common memory space to join the data. So there, when you bring into the common memory space, how efficient you can do that, how you can do it such a way that it is efficient and economical, right? So it has become to that level now, if you think deeply, right? So there is 2 levels to it. One is bringing it to a common format, and how do we join it to this one? That is where I think SingleStore is playing a role for us, actually, right, technically. Now, with the SingleStore being really good as an in-memory database, and now with other overflowing into disk and now with object store support, it became a really awesome candidate for us to do that augmentation, right? So we bring in data from different sources and bring it to SingleStore and join the data in SingleStore such a way that it joins there in the memory and overflows to disk and efficiently gets the data out for us, right? So that is where we are pushing SingleStore in our architecture, at least.
This makes a lot of sense, and it really, I think, reflects what a lot of our customers have done to this augmentation approach, whether it be Databricks or Snowflake or Google BigQuery. That augmentation layer as a sort of operational data store for the application on top of all of the data in a shared table format is something that we've seen our customers benefit tremendously from a performance perspective, from an overall TCO perspective. I think let's dig a little bit deeper. I think there are kind of 2 technology areas here in terms of interoperability, Kannan, that I'd like to discuss. The first is, we're coming fresh off of the Snowflake Summit. Talk to me a bit about, we talked about this, SingleStore Snowflake partnership there. Talk to me a bit about how you see that playing into LiveRamp's architecture, how you see other customers benefiting from that.
Yeah, so Snowflake, is more than a data warehouse. They, established themselves as an ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right, it's a fantastic cloud data warehouse ecosystem. So there are a lot of use cases, a lot of, even not so deeper data warehouse technical people were able to use Snowflake and get their data in and process things. And then the whole ecosystem helps them to get data from different data sources and build on top of it, right? So whereas, there, one of the main things is like, when I have to have a transactional data on it, or how do I interface with the transactional data, or how do I collaborate with other data warehouses, was the gap. And even they are also working on fixing that with the Unistore. They announced it, and they've been working on it and solving. But there, I think SingleStore fits in really, really well. And I think that's where a conversation LiveRamp had with both Snowflake and SingleStore together in the summit. We had a meeting together with them because the containerization that is available in Snowflake makes it easy for us to deploy SingleStore on top there to do some of this work which we are not able to do it before, right?
Yeah.
So on that layer of bringing that, again, coming to the same thing, augmentation part, right? So, and also another part of use case is like, we have our identity graph, right? Our identity graph is developed, or, we generate that graph in our ecosystem using SingleStore right now. And that when the graph is, built, we want to distribute the graph across the cloud for resolving identity, resolving stuff, right? So when we do that, in a Snowflake environment, how do we keep it natively and have that resolved?
Yeah.
So that's where I think this one plays a role.
So SingleStore deployed in Snowpark Container Services, and with all of your historical data in the data warehouse within Snowflake, the interoperability between the two essentially is able to do your identity graph resolution and provide an answer to the customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in this world, I've been with the database world for 30 plus years now. So there is no like one or zero kind of thing here, actually, right? So we know there will be always multiple databases and multiple data warehouses.
Yeah.
There's no other goals. We can't ask our customers to move from one to there. Or moving data across warehouses is not a great option for at least when you think about it in the future. We should think about how do we utilize the data wherever it is.
Yeah.
And so one of the bigger play, I've been recently talking to my son as well. And he was taking up an initiative on the carbon footprint, right? That hit me really hard as well, actually, right? Before this being in ad tech, I was in the world of completely on the clean energy, right? I worked on solar and clean energy for decades, right? I thought I'm spending my technology career on a better ecosystem is going to help, right? So here I want to play the same footprint here, right? So here with the right way, if you architect, we can play a bigger role on the reducing the carbon footprint as well, right? So when you bring the compute down, when we move the data movement down, we are helping with the carbon footprint as well.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So, this one not only technologically better solution, but also it is reducing carbon footprint.
Yeah. That makes complete sense, and I love the thought process there. So let's kind of look forward. We've talked about what you do at SingleStore. We've talked about sort of how you see the industry and one of the partnerships that we've launched with Snowflake. Talk to me about other sort of areas that you think we could partner as SingleStore, perhaps with other data warehouse providers like Google BigQuery, and maybe some of the advantages that you would see from that.
Yeah, I think Google BigQuery will be a natural partners for you guys, actually, right? So with the data, so basically, right, for us, actually, right, a lot of our data is in BigQuery. Right, so we have no intent to move them to SingleStore now at this point. And that works well for us. Like some of the use cases really works well to keep the data in the BigQuery, right? So as in the SingleStore, as you guys started adopting Object Store as a storage to store data in the Object Store, you should treat the same way with all the data warehouses as well, right? That is where maybe the historical data stores, and you can be retrieving the data efficiently, being an augmentation layer and support, running queries on top of your ecosystem will be a great place to think, right? Great thinking to have, across the warehouses, right? So that is where I think even with the data being in the BigQuery, and if we can have a real good layer on top with SingleStore, so that can let us, retrieve the data and join across different data warehouses, join across different BigQuery warehouses as well. And with our graph and identity and other layer, which is already in SingleStore, will be an awesome place for us to be in. Not only for us, even the whole industry, I think, right? So, I think it will be awesome if we can work with BigQuery and bring that layer in. And it's, with the BigQuery, and with GCP, the containerization and deployment of SingleStore is much more simpler because it is in the GCP ecosystem.
Yep, of course.
Yeah, it should work natively. Yeah. But having the connectors, having, I would say, the zero copy read, so where we don't move data from BigQuery into SingleStore to join. Instead, we read data from BigQuery and join our query the data in the memory space of SingleStore will be the biggest.
So I think this is the most interesting part. So you're saying you have several different BigQuery warehouses, and you have data that sits across it that's required for things at the application layer like identity resolution. And with a shared table format across all of those, and with SingleStore, you're able to then take all of the data from the various different warehouses in BigQuery, bring it into the shared space of SingleStore for the speed, the scale, the simplicity, and then serve that up at the application layer.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. That is what the collaboration platform we are trying to build.
Yeah.
And that is most of the customers and most of the people who are using huge data sets is having the same problem and the same things we have to build to solve a lot of similar use cases, I think, actually, right? So for us, yes, that is a glaring use case which we are trying to address right now.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Kannan. This was awesome. Always a pleasure to see you, and look forward to the next one.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.